Welcome to NFL Nexus. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the Los Angeles Rams, a team that is standing at a massive crossroads. You've got an MVP quarterback. You've got a core group of guys who have been to the top of the mountain and know what it takes to win. But in the NFL, that championship window, it can slam shut in a heartbeat. So today, we're going to break down two huge, monumental decisions the Rams are facing this offseason. These decisions could be the difference between getting back to the Super Bowl or seeing that window close for good. It's a fascinating story of legends and successors, of taking big risks and making even bigger moves. Let's get right into it.
4 points. Just let that number sink in. 4. That was it. That was the tiny, razor-thin margin that kept the Los Angeles Rams out of the Super Bowl last season. And that number, it's both an amazing motivator and an absolutely agonizing thought, isn't it? On one hand, it tells you, hey, we are right there. We are knocking on the door. But on the other hand, it's the kind of thing that just haunts a team, a fan base, an entire locker room all off-season long. It makes you think about every single play, every drop pass, every missed tackle, any one of those little things that could have changed everything. So, that 4-point gap? That's not just a statistic. It's the entire story for this Rams offseason. It's the fuel and it's the pressure all rolled into one.
And man, what a season it was that got them that close. I mean, they were firing on all cylinders. A really strong 12-5 record in the regular season. Then they get into the playoffs and just look like a machine, rolling through the Panthers and the Bears. They looked unstoppable. And right at the center of all of it was Matthew Stafford, playing out of his mind, putting together this spectacular MVP-winning season. It was just incredible to watch. But you know what? All that success, all that momentum, it just makes that final loss, that 31-27 heartbreaker to their biggest rival, the Seahawks, in the NFC Championship, it just makes it sting that much more. You have the MVP, you're playing at home, and you just can't get over that last hump.
So, what do? The front office knows they can't just cross their fingers and hope for a better outcome next year. Nope. They've got to be smart, they've got to be strategic, and it all boils down to two key areas. First, we'll talk about the Rams' ticking clock to really set the stage. Then, we're going to explore their first big question mark, the potential return of a legend and what he could mean for this team. After that, we'll flip to the other side of the ball and talk about the most important job they have, protecting their MVP, which gets us into the whole McClendon dilemma. And finally, we'll tie it all together and see how these two very different choices are all about one single goal.
You can almost hear it, can't you? Tick, tock, tick, tock. Every single decision the Rams make this offseason is magnified because of this one simple fact. They are on the clock. Matthew Stafford winning the MVP is an awesome story, but let's be real, he's not getting any younger. And when you have your veteran quarterback playing at the absolute pinnacle of his career, you just don't have time to think about 3 or 5 year plans. The plan is now. Every draft pick, every free agent signing, every single dollar of cap space has to be looked at through one single question. Does this move get us those 4 extra points we needed in the NFC Championship? This is the absolute definition of win-now mode, and man, that puts a ton of pressure on everyone to get it right.
And if you're looking for where to start, well, this is it. This is where that pressure needs to be focused. Because when you have an MVP quarterback slinging the ball all over the field, you simply cannot afford to have a defense that is, well, just okay, just painfully average. I mean, look at these rankings from last season. 17th in total defense, 19th against the pass, 17th in points allowed. The only thing they were even a little bit good at was stopping the run, where they were 12th. In today's NFL, being average on defense is basically a death sentence for a Super Bowl contender. It just means you're giving good teams too many chances. It means your MVP quarterback has to be a superhero every single week just to bail you out. That's not a championship formula. It's the team's biggest, most obvious weakness, and everybody knows it.
So, the big question is, how do you fix that? How do you take an average defense and turn it into a championship-level force in just one offseason? Well, that leads us right into our first massive storyline. The Rams aren't just looking for another guy to fill a spot. They need a true game changer, an anchor, a leader. And according to a pretty interesting prediction from Fox Sports' Greg Oman, the answer might just be a name that Rams fans know very, very well. The move they're projected to make wouldn't just plug a hole. It would send a message to the entire league that they are absolutely all in on winning this year.
And that familiar face is none other than Bobby Wagner. Now, for anyone who might not know, we're not just talking about a good linebacker here. We are talking about a living legend, a first ballot, no doubt about it, future Hall of Famer. After spending a decade making life miserable for the Rams as a Seahawk, he actually played one season in LA back in 2022, so he knows the building, he knows the system, he knows the guys. His entire reputation is built on being one of the smartest, most instinctual tacklers the game has ever seen. He's like a coach on the field, a true leader, and maybe most importantly, he's got a Super Bowl ring. He knows exactly what it takes to get there.
And this quote from Greg Amon just nails the whole situation. He asks, could he return to the Seahawks or Rams and try to chase a second ring on the way out? The key words there? Chase a second ring. That's the whole ballgame. You got to think about it from Bobby Wagner's point of view. The guy is 35 years old. He's not looking to join a rebuild. He's not looking for the biggest contract. He's at that point in his career where it's all about legacy. He wants to play for a true contender, a team that gives him the best possible shot to lift that Lombardi trophy one more time before he calls it a career. And a team like the Rams with an MVP quarterback and that explosive offense, man, that fits the bill perfectly. It's a potential perfect match.
Okay, but let's really dig into this. Because signing Bobby Wagner isn't just about filling a spot at linebacker. It's about so much more than that. We need to break down the full impact, the ripple effect that a player like him, even at 35, would have on this entire team. It's not just about what you see in the box score, it's about the entire culture shift he could bring to that defense. First things first, let's talk production. Because if anyone is worried about a 35-year-old linebacker losing a step, you can just throw that right out the window. Look at this number. 162 total tackles for the Commanders last season. You don't get to 162 tackles by accident. That's not just about being athletic. That number represents countless hours in the film room, a genius-level football IQ that lets him see plays before they even happen, and just a relentless desire to always be around the football. He's not just a big name coming in for a final paycheck. He is still, right now, one of the most productive linebackers in the entire league.
And then there's the resume. I mean, come on, 10 career Pro Bowl selections. Just think about that for a second. In a league that is famous for how quickly it chews players up and spits them out, for an entire decade, he was consistently seen by fans, coaches, and other players as one of the absolute best to do it. That kind of sustained greatness is so rare. It just speaks volumes about his durability, his consistency, and his insane commitment to being great year in and year out.
Okay, and if 10 Pro Bowls didn't convince you, this should. 6 career first-team All-Pro selections. Now, you got to understand, this is a whole different level. The Pro Bowl can sometimes be a bit of a popularity contest, but All-Pro? That is the elite of the elite. That's a small group of experts deciding who is the single best player at their position in the entire NFL for that season. To get that honor 6 different times, that puts you in the conversation with the absolute all-time greats.
So when you put all the pieces together, the picture becomes perfectly clear. You get the proven leadership this defense was missing. You get the elite production. We saw the 162 tackles, but he also chipped in with 4.5 sacks and 2 interceptions last year. The guy does everything. But most importantly, you get a quarterback for your defense, someone who can read the offense, get everyone lined up right, make checks at the line. He's a true field general. And because he already played for the Rams in 2022, there's no learning curve. He can step in from day one, add in all that priceless experience in huge playoff games, and he is the perfect veteran to turn that average defense into a force to be reckoned with.
All right, before we switch gears and jump over to the offense, just a quick heads up. We put a ton of time and research into putting these deep dives together for you. And if you enjoy the work we do here at NFL Nexus, one way you can help support the channel is by purchasing one of our coloring books. Seriously, they're perfect for fans of all ages. Kids, grandkids, even adults who just want to relax a bit. You can find them by hitting the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on your screen right now. We really, truly appreciate all of your support.
Okay, so let's play this out. Let's say the Rams make the big splash. They bring Bobby Wagner back, and the defense is looking tough. Problem solved, right? Super Bowl, here we come? Well, not so fast, because shoring up that defense is only half the battle. It really doesn't matter how great your defense is if your MVP quarterback is running for his life and doesn't have time to throw the ball. And that brings us to the second, and you could argue just as critical challenge facing the Rams this offseason.
So now we're flipping over to the offense, and we're zoning in on those big guys up front whose only job is to keep Matthew Stafford clean. This story isn't about adding a splashy free agent. It's about dealing with a sudden, massive loss. The retirement of a longtime veteran has created a huge hole on that offensive line, and the way the Rams decide to fill it could seriously impact their entire season.
And here's why this is such a big deal. For 11 years, I mean, think about that, 11 years in the NFL trenches, Rob Havenstein was the guy. He was a rocket right tackle for the Rams. That's an eternity in this league.
But after fighting through injuries last season, where he still managed to gut it out for 461 snaps, he decided it was time and hung up his cleats. And that leaves some massive shoes to fill. The man they've tapped to step into that spot is Warren McClendon Jr. This isn't an open competition. He's their guy. But the big question is he ready for that pressure?
And this right here is where it gets really, really fascinating. The whole situation with Warren McClendon Jr. is this classic NFL story of a team's belief on the inside clashing with what all the experts are saying on the outside. It's like two different worlds looking at the same player. Inside the Rams building, they seem totally confident. But outside of it, a lot of people are saying, "Are you sure about that?" And that creates a huge dilemma for the front office.
Let's start with what the team thinks. You really can't get a stronger stamp of approval than this, right here, from head coach Sean McVay. He was asked about McClendon taking over, and he didn't even blink. He said, "I was really happy and proud of the way that Warren played. He did an outstanding job for us this year." Now, that's not just some generic coach speak you hear all the time. That is a clear, powerful vote of confidence from one of the best offensive minds in football. McVay is basically telling everyone, relax, we've got our guy, we've seen him every day in practice, we saw what he did in games, and we believe in him.
And you know what? McVay's not just blowing smoke here. The numbers actually back him up. When McClendon had to step in for the injured Havenstein, he wasn't just a warm body out there. He played at a legitimately high level. He earned a really strong 78.7 overall grade from Pro Football Focus. And what's even more impressive is his run blocking grade, which was an elite 81.9. So he wasn't just a fill-in. He was actually a mauler in the run game. These numbers show that the team's confidence isn't just blind faith. It's based on real, tangible proof from what he did on the field.
But here it is. Here's the conflict in a nutshell. On one side, you've got that powerful belief from inside the organization, backed up by McVay's public praise and McClendon's fantastic PFF grade. But then you look at the outside world, and the doubts are pretty loud. Pro Football Focus, the same site that gave him that great grade, still suggested the Rams should probably draft another tackle to compete with him. NFL.com even mocked a first-round offensive tackle, Caleb Lomu, to the Rams. And then you have this other layer of pressure. McClendon is going into the final year of his contract. So what do the Rams do? Do they trust their gut and look to sign him to a long-term deal, or do they listen to the outside noise and use a valuable draft pick on an insurance policy?
So you see what's happening here, right? We've just talked about two totally different challenges. One is about potentially spending big money on a future Hall of Famer to fix the defense. The other is about trusting a young, unproven guy you drafted to fill a huge hole on offense. They are completely different problems with completely different solutions, but they are both tied together by one single, massive goal: winning the Super Bowl. Now.
And really, it all comes down to these two paths. Path number one is the bold move. You go out, you sign the legend in Bobby Wagner, and you instantly upgrade your defense, fixing the most obvious problem you had last season. Path number two is the calculated risk. You put your faith in your coaching and your player development, and you trust your homegrown guy, Warren McClendon, to step up and handle a critical job. And here's the thing, they have to get both of these right. Getting one right and the other wrong, that could be the very thing that keeps them from getting those 4 extra points. It's the difference between planning a championship parade and spending another offseason wondering, what if?
And so that leads us to the final question, and this is what I really want to hear from you all about. Which one of these two decisions do you think carries more weight for the Rams' Super Bowl hopes this year? Is it the bold move, signing Bobby Wagner to transform the defense? Or is it the calculated risk of trusting Warren McClendon? Because, let's face it, if he's not up to the task, the health of your MVP quarterback is on the line. Let me know which move you think is the real key down in the comments below. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to NFL Nexus for more deep dives like this. And make sure you hit that like button. And if you're interested, definitely check out those coloring books with the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching.